Okay, so now that we have our picking up and dropping of actors replicated, as demonstrated by this little guy here, I want to move on into something a little bit more fun. And that'll be, because we are using the first person template, I want to make it so we can shoot. So I want to be able to pick up, a gun with two hands and shoot it. Simple as that. So we need to try to think of a couple of things of how we can do this. One, we need to have a grippable object like this. However, if we look at the first person mesh or weapon, it is a skeletal mesh. So for the time being, we're going to create a blueprint version of the grippable class. So we're going to right click, create a new blueprint class, search for grip, and we have a grippable skeletal mesh actor. Let's see, what is this? Turning off physics replication. No, we should just use the normal grippable skeletal mesh actor. So let's name this one BP gun test. Open that on up. And if I recall, I had a weird issue with this where it wouldn't let me compile in my other project. So let's save it. Yep, there's the issue. Go figure. So let's delete it. I'm not even going to bother trying to read through it. Create a new blueprint class. Instead, this one's just going to be a grippable actor. So what was it? BP grip gun test. I don't remember the name. We're going to add a skeletal mesh to it. Drag it onto the scene root to make it the root. Then select the gun, compile, save. And there we have it. So let's drag it into the world. Now my mouse is kind of messing up. I'll make it roughly the same height because I kind of liked it before. We'll just move it back a little bit closer to where we will actually be spawning. So there's our gun. Let's go look at the collision. So currently we have no collision. If we look at the collision of the sphere, there it is, it's set to block all. So let's set it to block all by default. And obviously it is set to blocking for everything, which could lend us a little bit of a problem. So when we try to move it into ourselves, we would be pretty much running into it. So I'm going to change this to custom and set pawn to ignore and physics body to ignore. And I guess vehicle and projectile I'll leave. So we should be able to walk through it, but at the same time be able to, have overlaps. Move my camera stuff around a little bit. Overlaps. So I try to pick it up. Nothing is happening. So I remember there being some issue. I don't remember exactly what it was, but let me confirm that this does have a physics body set up. And I just opened the mesh. Okay, so it has a physics asset. So where's my character? Let's click on our left controller collision, go down to collision, set to overlap all dynamic. So we are overlapping physics bodies. So that's what we want for both right and left. So that's okay there. What was the collision issue? I'm trying to remember what it was that I had before. So for now, I'm going to set this back to block all, confirm that I can walk into it, which I cannot. So we are set to ignore something. So let's click on this guy, click on the skeletal mesh, and see if this is updating properly. And I completely missed the collision. Okay, so for whatever reason, we are just not having collision. We also want to make sure it generates overlaps. That's something I forgot. So let's give that a try. We still should be able to walk through it like that, yes. Can't pick it up. So it's like we don't have actual collision. So I'm going to try to figure out what the cause of that was, because I cannot remember. So I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, so I looked through the character and I figured out why we can walk through it. So we have physics bodies set to ignore. So obviously if I set this to block and we try to walk into the gun, that explains a little bit more. So we should have collision now. What in the world? We still don't. Physics body? Yeah, that's should be a physics body. I try vehicle and pawn just to see if that Might possibly be why. No? Okay, let me check again. Okay, so I just did a bunch of tinkering around, only to just now remember. I don't think, for some odd reason, the physics asset was not ever properly set. I don't even think I can control Z. Yeah, I can control Z this back to normal. We go to our grip gun test here. Scroll up to, let's see, where is the physics asset? I feel like I'm being a little bit blind. Is it under collision? Got the material. Let's see. Physics asset override. We want to set it to the FP gun. Compile and save. And as well as if we go down to collision again, we still have it set to block all. And for our character here, let me select the root. Let me change this back to pawn. And custom, actually, we'll go back to custom because this had a bunch of things turned off. Like I think all of these were set to ignore. Let's save it, and so you can get a quick look at it again, and see if we can walk into it. And I feel like I'm missing something, which, let's see. Did you inherit the collision? Okay, so you have world static. There we go. I had to set that back to, actually I could set you back to, yeah, that should be actually bright. You shouldn't have to change this. It just for whatever reason didn't update properly. So now when I walk into the gun, there we go. We now have collision. So now when I click on it, as you can see, it actually is attaching. So we finally have it set so we can pick up the gun. I don't even know what all to really discuss now because that was kind of a very frustrating pain. Now we pretty much work on the grip settings. So basically, let's go up to, click on the root here, go up to the grip interface. Let's set allow multiple grips. So let's see what happens when we do that. As you can probably tell with the name, it's pretty obvious. So I grip with the right hand. Let me actually drop it, and I'll grip with the left hand, and then grip up here with the right. And I let go with the right. I still have grip on the left. So they kind of influence each other a little bit. Kind of a pain in the butt. But let me also we want to disable collision for pawn in this case. So here we have our gun. Click on the skeletal mesh, go down to collision, change from block all to custom. Then set pawn and physics body to ignore. So this way, whenever we try to, for example, rotate it, or we should actually be able to walk through it like that. We can pick up the gun, grab the front somewhere, and we have kind of both of them very poorly manipulating it. So we have multiple grips. Anyhow, we want to really work on slots. So what I mean by slots is if we come over here, we have two parameters, so secondary slot range and primary slot range. What we're going to do in the next video is we are going to pretty much set these up. So when we grip with the right hand or left hand, close to the actual pistol grip, this is where we will grip. And when we grip with the opposite hand that is not gripped here, or just, I guess, grips up here anyways, we have a specific position that will grip to as well. So that's basically what we're going to be trying to set up. So we have two grip points. And what we can do is we can do a test and see how far away each point is. And if it's within X range, what we do is we grip it. So we're pretty much going based upon distance here. And that is something we can handle inside of handle gripping. So that's going to be it for this video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where we have a team deathmatch series just for patrons, where we create a bunch of other features inside of there like weapon customization, customized spawning, and all that. as well as you get early access to my videos. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord server down below, and I'll try to help you out with that as well. So, I'll see you in the next video.